Hi guys, we're here with the North Hennepin Chamber of Commerce video part 2. I'm AJ Murphy, and here with me I have Mike Johnson and Christian Tabox. Kind of just to start off this video, can you guys give me kind of an overview and kind of a summary of what it's like in your respective career fields?
What it's like is the career is always changing. You have to keep up with constant changes, which I think Christian will also tell you is more and more going toward news on the internet and all the other things that go along with that, and just keeping up with that in a technical way is a challenge in our newsroom. And in television, there is more and more stations to choose from. There's every station is getting a smaller part of the pie, and that affects the staffing in newsrooms and meaning more people have to do more things. Is that true for you too?
Yeah, it's never boring. It's never monotonous. And it's true that journalism, especially with my field in print journalism, it is going a lot towards the internet. I mean, we have to become both reporters and social media mavens in order to get our stuff out there. I mean, so I'm part of the administrator for our Facebook page, and I also update our website, and which is nice because it does get news out easier to people who don't have access to the physical paper. But we still go out there every day. We still meet people. We still find great news stories, and regardless of what medium we publish it on, we still have a great deal of access and camaraderie to our beats that we're connected to.
I would add one thing is that you guys have your deadlines, and we used to be in television would have maybe 2 or 3 deadlines a day. Now there are no. I mean, we still have those deadlines, but we have hourly. Every time there's a breaking story, you got to get that on the social media. You got to get that on the internet. More so in commercial stations than where I am right now, but that's still the case. We're out there tweeting or whatever.
See,
every hour.
We're more relaxed because I'm a part of a weekly paper, so I don't have to deal with that kind of stress as much as you do, unfortunately. But still deadlines are still there. I mean, like every Monday is our layout day for our paper, so we have to have all of our stories in by the Friday before. So we do have to maintain a strict schedule. Otherwise, things could fall apart. But luckily, thanks in part to social media and the internet, it's a lot easier to get it out in case we don't get it on the paper itself.
So it's kind of like, anticipating and kind of getting that out there. Is that kind of what we're getting at? Yeah.
Well, in the commercial television stations, it's like a 24-hour deadline. Mm-hmm. You're always on a deadline. I mean, if you're on a story and you're not getting it on your station's website right away, you're already behind. And it used to be all the 6 o'clock news is what you were shooting for, maybe the 10 o'clock. But now you got to get it on there right now.
You got to maintain a mastery of time management in journalism, regardless of whether it's print or broadcast, because some people, you need to set up interviews with people, and sometimes they have to do it a certain day. So you have to work around your other stories and schedules around that person. So you got to be very forward-thinking and assertive and proactive. Otherwise, you're not going to do well.
All right. Kind of tell me about your guys' first jobs in your fields.
Well, my first paid job was kind of interesting. It came just out of luck and the people I knew. I was working at a commercial radio station, and a coworker who was leaving for another job had a part-time job where he shot video, or in those days it was film, for the local NBC station. And we were in a town about 40 miles away, and the NBC station couldn't always get out there right away. So they had a part-timer out there, and the guy just handed me the camera and said, "Here, I'm leaving, why don't you do it?" And I said, "Great." And because it got my foot in the door at the station, which I eventually became the main anchor for at 10 o'clock. But it got my foot in the door. I knew the people, and by the time I finished with that, it was about 2 years of that before I had to move on to something else. They knew me very well. So when I called them back, I said, "I'm moving back. I'd like to talk to you about a job." They made me their main anchor. I mean, that probably wouldn't happen that way today, but it is about who you know.
Yeah. This is my first job. This is my first paid job outside of college. I graduated actually last year. And It's actually really cool. I mean, it's like I thought that working in a newspaper would be really stressful. I mean, you wouldn't have any time to yourself. And sometimes it's like that because you do have to work nights and weekends whenever stories require it. But it's been a very illuminating and enlightening and enjoyable experience thus far. I mean, I thought I would have a lot of trouble finding a job in newspapers in this day and age. I mean, like I said, it's the age of the internet, but lo and behold, I managed to find a job at a newspaper, and yeah, it's really cool, and I never expected it, and I like prove myself wrong sometimes.
All right. Take me inside a normal day in your career. Like, what is it like? What do you have to do? What do you enjoy about it?
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, like I said, Monday is our layout day, so everything that we reported on the week before, we package into the physical paper to be released later that week. So basically, Monday is all about layout. And I mean, if we have any time left over, then we can do reporting or do our stories for the next week's paper. But it's almost always layout. And after that, it's pretty fluid. Sometimes, like I said, you have to do stories. You have to report on things at night or on the weekends as it requires. Sometimes it's different because sometimes you'll be in and out of the office all day. I mean, you're usually not in the office a full 8 hours because there's always a story to be going after. There's always somebody to be interviewing. Always making contacts. I'm always giving out business cards, always taking business cards. That's really important because that way you will maintain a steady flow of story ideas and information from people around your beat. So it's never the same every day, and it's never the same every week, and it's not even the same every hour in my section of journalism.
We do a daily show at 4 o'clock, which is a little early, but means we're there in the morning and we kind of lay out the board. Okay, here are the events that we know are going on. Maybe there was something that happened overnight, a police event or a fire or something that we need to follow up on. And here are the story ideas that we've been working on since yesterday and making calls and setting up interviews. And then we put them up on the board and see which ones are the best ones and assign a reporter and photographer crew to each story and try to be reasonable about what they can actually do in a day's time. You have to kind of say, well, this is a hard story. It's got some travel involved. It's going to take that crew all day. Or this is pretty easy. It's just you go one place, you interview 2 people, you come back, you put it together. Maybe that crew can do 2 things. So we try to do some time management kind of things and get the most out of our resources.
Gotcha. Going forward in the future, 5, 10 years, what does the field of journalism look like?
You have a crystal ball.
Yeah. People, they've been asking that about the industry for the last, 10, 15 years. It all goes back to the internet because, papers are being shut down, magazines are being shut down, and it's all going digital. But, however, the nice thing about having a journalism degree or having a lot of experience in the field, degree or not, is that you attain so many necessary abilities and traits and skills that you don't have to limit it to just news reporting. I mean, you can do communication specialist work. You can be a writer. You can be you can really do a lot of things. It's a lot of broad applications journalism can afford you. I mean, that's why when you go to college, you take as many English classes, journalism classes, law classes, communications classes as possible because a lot of those abilities overlap with each other, and it's really a big advantage that we as journalists have is that we can really do more than what we're doing right now as a job.
I think the future is kind of unknown and exciting and scary all at the same time because I never thought I'd be writing on a computer something that's going to go on the internet that people all over the world could possibly see if they really wanted to take a look. But that's what's happening, and in the commercial world, commercial television, there's a lot of pressure on money right now. And I think that's easing a little bit, but still, you know, you see markets where TV stations are sharing staff. There used to be helicopter wars. Every station had to have a helicopter, and now that's crazy. Why don't we all, 3 or 4 of us, we're all covering the same story. Why don't we just rent one helicopter? We'll go up and we'll share the cost and reduce costs. And you can apply that to reporters. In some places they do photographers, and in other places it's 2 stations under one roof, and they do everything.
Yeah, basically, I'm the only person who works for my specific paper, the Brooklyn Center Sun Post, because I work in an office in Osseo, and a lot of my co-workers do their own same paper. You know, Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Maple Grove, Osseo, Golden Valley, New Hope, Crystal. We all do our own thing, and like he said, we share a lot of responsibilities. Sometimes we overlap stories, we help each other out. So it's becoming a lot more communal. I mean, at least in my field, and his as well. So that's a nice thing. I mean, we can still keep those 2 industries aloft, but it's becoming a lot less, massive and more individualistic, I guess is the right word. And sometimes we have to share those responsibilities.
Share
with
the
each other.
resources
Yeah.
is, I think, a buzzword in a lot of places.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up part 2 of our video. Make sure you check out part 1, and we'll see you later.